Level 1 is the dreamer. We all know this runner. Most of us started as this runner. They agreed to run a marathon at 1 AM after 3 pints in a pub. The next morning, fueled by a hangover and sheer delusion, they paid a massive registration fee. And before they even own a pair of running socks, they announce it on Instagram. They instantly go and buy a £250 pair of neon carbon plated shoes and a tactical hydration vest, which they wear to run a 3-kilometre loop around their estate. They have absolutely zero structure. They run when the sun is shining, their favourite playlist is on, and they feel motivated. But motivation completely evaporates by week 4 when they realise running 15 miles in the pouring rain is a terrible way to spend a Sunday morning. And when the dreamer realises they have to train, they fall straight in to the next trap. Level 2, the junk miler. This runner is putting in the effort, but they run exactly the same 8-kilometre route at the exact same I'm breathing through a tiny straw pace 4 days a week. Every single run on their Strava is just titled evening run. They never do any dedicated speed work. They absolutely refuse to slow down because they think it's embarrassing. They treat the warming up as a myth invented by physical therapists. There is no psychological adaptation actually happening here. They are just stacking empty, fatiguing junk miles, waking up with screaming hamstrings and praying to the marathon gods it magically translates to surviving 42.2 kilometres. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Now here is the truth. These levels are not a timeline. You don't automatically graduate just because you downloaded a 16-week PDF. I know runners who have been stuck at level 2 for 5 years, totally baffled as to why they aren't getting any faster. But if you do manage to escape, you walk right into the trap that ruins 80% of sub-4 attempts. Level 3, the calculator. This is where the sheer panic sets in. The calculator does the math, realises a sub-4 marathon means holding a 5:41 per kilometre pace, and they become completely unhinged. They become obsessed with the plastic on their wrist, and they try and force every single evening jog to perfectly match the 5:41 pace. If their running watch beeps and says that they ran a 5:43, their entire week is ruined, and they may pause their watch at a traffic light with the speed of a ninja to protect their average pace. And maybe you are that person sprinting back and forth at the end of your driveway just to make sure your watch says exactly 10 kilometres before you hit stop. You treat every training run like the Olympic trials. The result? You show up to race day held together by KT tape and ibuprofen, and you blow up spectacularly at mile 18. Level 3 will physically break you. To survive it, you have to swallow your pride and make a massive mental shift. You have to evolve into level 4, the Tactician. And the Tactician finally understands the science of polarized training. They slow down. They start doing 80% of their runs at an easy conversational zone 2 effort. And this requires ego death. They embrace the deep, soul-crushing humiliation of getting overtaken by a bloke in jeans walking a golden retriever or a toddler on a scooter, because they know they are building a massive aerobic base. For the first time in their life, they realise that running doesn't have to taste like blood in the back of your throat. They save that 5:41 pace strictly for when it matters. But having the lungs for a sub-4 marathon is completely useless if your stomach violently disagrees with you on race day. And that brings us to level 5, the scientist. The scientist realises that the marathon is basically just a high-speed eating contest with a side of chafing. They stop winging their fuel. They drop a small fortune on sports nutrition and actually practice taking on 60 to 80 grams of carbs per hour. And they train their gut to process what is essentially sugar wrapped in plastic. They get used to their hands being permanently sticky from the leak gels, and they lock in their hydration strategy so they don't end up playing porta potty roulette on the side of the race course. So your pacing is dialed and your fueling is locked. But what happens when life throws a wrench in the spreadsheet? Welcome to level 6, the adapter. The adapter knows the spreadsheet isn't reality. If you step outside for a run and the air feels like warm soup, or you're trying to squeeze in the miles before the indoor running track closes for the season, don't blindly force your target pace. You run by effort. You listen to your breathing and you dial it back. The adapter knows the body can't tell the difference between a terrible night of sleep, a stressful week at the office, and a 20-mile run. It's all just stress. They don't panic if they miss a session. They protect the engine at all costs. If you can protect the engine through all of that madness, you finally reached the absolute peak. Level 7, the Sub-4 finisher. Yes, the runner respects the taper instead of doing a panic-induced 15-kilometer run the Tuesday before the race, just to make sure that the legs still work. They survive the taper tantrums where their left knee suddenly forgets how to bend for no medical reason. On race day, they stay radically disciplined in those first 10 kilometers when the crowds are screaming and the adrenaline is begging them to run a ridiculous 4:30 pace. And when they hit that wall at kilometer 32, they have the aerobic base, the fuel and the mental sheer grit just to hold the damn line, ignore the burning in their quads and cross the finish line before the clock strikes 4 hours. Which level are you at? Let me know down below in the comments. This is Running the Sun. My name is Paul and I'll see you in the next one.